11 years is a crazy amount of time to wait for a diagnosis. It's a crazy amount of time when this disease is getting worse and worse with every cycle.
The Chronic Truth Podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. The views expressed by our guests are their personal opinions and do not constitute medical advice. While we share experiences and strategies related to health, neither the host nor the guest are acting as licensed medical professionals unless explicitly stated. Always consult your physician or qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your treatment plan. Listeners assume all risks associated with implementing any information discussed on this show.
Good evening and welcome to the Chronic Truth Podcast. I'm Kimberly Nash. Today we are joined by Ruthie, founder of the Yellow Hub. After years of navigating delayed diagnosis with severe endometriosis, Ruthie turned her experience into a mission, building a powerful community that helps women advocate for themselves, find the right care, and feel less alone in their journey. She recently joined Mapot as co-founder, bringing the first AI companion to everyday life with endometriosis, where a patient can manage and forecast their symptoms instead of drowning in them. Welcome, Ruthie.
Hi, Kim. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Excited and humbled.
This is great. I've read a little bit about your bio, and I'm so excited for you to share with our listeners a little bit about you.
Yeah, of course. So where do I start? I had the most common endometriosis journey that unfortunately I'm sure many will recognize. Years of pain. I was actually very lucky. I started my period years of adulthood with actually pretty okay period. I was the one who I forgot I'm on my period today. Yeah, right. Yeah, I had that. So even though I had that at some point when things got worse and worse, everybody around me included, kept telling me oh, everything is fine. Yeah, that's supposed to hurt, Well, you were lucky until now, and now it's hurting like everybody else. This is hurting probably. At some point, I started going to doctors to ask for help. Everything is normal. Let's do an ultrasound. Oh, everything looks normal. Maybe there's a cyst. It's okay. Take birth control. It's obviously the fix for everything.
Yeah, that's it.
And fast forward, not very fast for me, but quite a few years into COVID, at some point, I passed out during my period because the pain was so severe. I got to the ER. It was really terrible. Obviously, at the ER, just one doctor trying to convince me to have an IUD right there and there, or okay, maybe next week.
Not right now.
I'm just in pain.
Hello.
Yeah, it was great. And then I finally got diagnosed. I got to that doctor by mistake. Pure luck, really. I reached out to my friend. She has PCOS. I lived in New York at the time, and I told her, listen, I know you know a lot of doctors, because she was I'm looking for answers as well for a few years. And I was like, maybe you know someone? And she was like, yeah, you know what? I saw this doctor. I did not like her, but she was so knowledgeable. You should go see her. And I did. I looked her up. I saw her bio. Her bio literally said, I decided to devote my life to women in pain. If you're in pain, please come see me. I would like to help you. And I was like, okay, this is the person. And I walked in, hey, I'm so sorry I'm here. I'm probably just wasting your time. I'm so sorry. But listen, there's this and this. And she was like, you passed out. Let's do an MRI on you. And then the MRI came back and she was like, you lit up like a Christmas tree. When do you want to have surgery? Do you want to do yesterday? I can have time next week. I was like, what? Though at this point I was in so much pain. I was like, sure, I will have anything, surgery, do whatever you need to me to help
Save me.
Yeah. I trusted her a lot. I saw other surgeons, which I highly recommend to do, see other people. It helped me trust her more, knowing how I felt with her versus how I felt with others. And I got into surgery within, I think, 3.5 weeks because I needed some time, not because she didn't need time. She was ready to just help me right there and then. And only after the surgery, when I was recovering, that's when I finally joined all the groups because, people told me, don't Google it, you're going to freak out, just go. So I literally went blind into that surgery. after surgery, I was in my home, not knowing what to even, like, I did not know what I'm getting into. I did not know I need to buy new clothing because I would not fit in my clothing from before surgery because, like, they literally blow you up to get in and clean everything out. And they don't take everything back out of all the air. That's on you to take it out
That's
sometimes
you to get it
slowly.
out.
So I was like, okay, no one told me the shirt fits up to here. That's fine. Let's just do it for 5 days. And that's when I learned in all the support groups that I joined how lucky I was that I got to a surgeon who actually knew what she was doing. She did an excision surgery on me. She worked for 4.5 hours to undo the entire mess. I had 7 internal organs fused together with
Hi.
endometriosis and adhesions. And while I had that, so many doctors told me, oh, it might be stress. It's probably all in your head. Do you want to see psychiatry? Can they help you? We have a lot of things to help right now. Because obviously it's all in your head. If we
Yes.
did one
It's
test and
just
it came
period
out
pain.
negative. Yes, exactly. We have one idea, one test, and not work. Okay, it's probably all in your head. What an easy solution. So yeah, when I realized how lucky I was like, this is no way to do it. Let's have one place where everybody could go and find a surgeon who knows what they're doing. As I said, I was recovering from surgery. I joined a bunch of support groups in the US and I was like, okay, I'm joining a bunch of them in the EU, in Asia, all over the place. I'm taking all of the recommendations that I can, just like literally looking for posts for people to say, I had surgery with this and this. It was great. He was good. She was not great. Like whichever it was, I put it all together in a Google My Maps. It's a product Google forgot they created years ago. It's literally the same version it was like, I don't know, 12 years ago, but it's working. And you can just put in spots on the map and share that. And I started doing that as just like give back to the community, publish that in, I think, Thanksgiving of 2020. And
Wow.
it blew up. At some point, when it got to like 500,000 views, I was like, okay, that's validation enough. I can invest a little bit in making it a little better. And this is how the Yellow Hub was born. I joined an amazing woman. She was on maternity leave and she didn't want to rush out while she was that. So she was looking for a small project to do to give back. And she was willing to build the map that we have right now. If you go on theyellowhub.org and you go to search for a specialist, so you can like literally search by your zip code. You could just look for your location and just show you who is around you on the map. We prioritize to have also a lot of surgeons that do take insurance because I know there's a lot of like access issues with private only and costs that like I could not bear. I was very lucky. I went to NYU. My surgeon was amazing. My copay was $300. I was very lucky.
Wow,
I know not
that's
everybody
really
is
good.
lucky. Yes.
Right.
But it's actually really important to say like there are great surgeons that are not on social media because they love cutting people open and helping them. And they don't do
And
social media
actually doing work.
videos. Yeah, exactly. So it's good to just ask around and hear from the right people, the right recommendation. It doesn't have to be a superstar that you know from your feed.
Okay, what were some of the barriers you faced getting an accurate diagnosis for endometriosis? And how can other women recognize those red flags sooner?
Oh, that's such a great question. First of all, I was taught from a very young age. I grew up in a very sheltered religious community, let's call it that. So I was told when I got to being 12 years old, it's like, okay, you're becoming a woman and this is going to hurt a lot. It was part of the teaching that it's supposed to be very painful. I think I've heard a sentence, something like, this is rehearsal for you when you're having children for childbirth. Like, this is how painful it's going to be. And I thought that was normal. So for a while there, I was like, okay, I'm a lucky one. It's not that bad. It's okay. So first of all, yes. First of all, know that the level of pain says a lot. It's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be an always ad where you go and like fly around and like dance. Probably not. But if you're canceling plans, especially if it's like plans with friends, things that you were looking forward to doing, that is too much pain. If you can't go to work or can't go to school, that is too much pain. If you're falling on the floor and there's nothing that helps, and heat doesn't help, and laying down doesn't help, and painkillers don't help, that is too much pain. That is not normal.
That's normal.
Yes. Unfortunately, in too many places, especially because this is a generational thing, right? It's something we don't know exactly if it's just genetic, we don't know because no one really bothered to look until now why endometriosis happens or how exactly it happens. But we do know it runs in families. So it's very likely that someone who sees her daughter or her granddaughter suffering, it's like, oh yeah, I know, it sucks. It's like this every month.
Well, and
it
they
was
were
like
telling
this for
you,
me.
oh, this is so painful. So more than likely.
Yes.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
tell me you have endometriosis without knowing you have endometriosis. Because it is. Endometriosis affects 1 in 10 women at least. It's still taking an average of 11 years to diagnose, and 25% of the patients will never find out, especially because they're older, they're already in menopause. Nobody's even testing them, even though we know we have seen growth of new endometriosis cells in menopausal women, in
so
fetuses.
It could start later in life too, right? It could start getting active.
It could also just keep on being active. We have seen that the growth keep on happening even after you have a full hysterectomy, because that is not the cause. That is where a lot of it is happening, but it's a whole body disease. It's endometrium-like cells. So it's not exactly the same cells, but it behaves very similar. It also behaves kind of similar to cancer in a way that this is not terminal. It's not something that you're going to die from, but in a way that how those cells behave, how they create their own blood supply and nerve ending wherever they are, it's very similar to how cancer happens and behaves locally. And then what is different is that those, because they're endometrium-like, during the cycle, wherever they are, they try to come out. It could be in your eyes, it could be in your fingers and hands, it could be anywhere around the abdomen. Endometriosis has been found in every organ of the body. It could be anywhere. So the fact that we're still treating it as a OBGYN issue only is part of the problem, because I didn't even know before my surgery that I need to complain if I have hip pain. That is definitely related. And nothing was showing up in my MRI back at the time. So I was like, okay, she's taking care of my vagina. That's going to be okay. She's taking care of my stomach. This is where it hurts. And then only after months of recovery, I was like, oh, but that hip pain, I think that was here before. And that it actually hurts now that everything else is taken care of.
Now it's like, okay, we need to address this now.
Yes.
When you had your surgery, did they go in and, I don't know the proper terminology for this, but did they basically just cut away and clear your organs from the endometriosis?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So the older way of doing it, which some doctors still do, and that is something to really watch out for. If any doctor is telling you they're going to do an ablation or fulguration, that means they're just burning things around, like, oh, we see endometriosis, let's burn it. Cool stuff. That was proven to cause more damage longer during like for the okay, let's start that again. Okay, so it's really important to actually notice that when you go to a new doctor and evaluate them for your surgery, if they say anything about ablation of endometriosis or fulguration, that means just burning whatever endometriosis spots that they see in their place. So it's not really taking care of that implant of blood supply and nerve endings. That is going to still be there and hurt a lot. And now it's going to be healing from a burn on top of it. So over time, that has been proven to cause more damage, more adhesions longer during the rest of your life. So we don't do that anymore. The gold standard right now is called excision, where they literally kind of like dig out the endometriosis with the root, with all of its things that it created for itself to thrive there. So it creates a little bit of a hole for where it was to remove it completely. And those specimens are also sent to the lab for pathology to make sure. So it's usually done laparoscopically. So we're no longer cutting people open like a
wide
book.
open. Yeah.
It's just, I had 5 entry points, which was not too bad at all. And I had pretty severe case. So it really depends on the surgeon of how many you're going to end up
It's
with.
a good doctor.
Yes, I was very lucky. She
Yes.
was really, really great. Also, one more thing to know if you're interviewing doctors is if you think that your case has more than just uterus involvement, like you have issues with your bladder, you might have issues with your bowel, you might have issues with like you feel something closer to your chest. It's very important to ask about a multidisciplinary team. It's very common for surgeons to have other surgeons to potentially help them. For example, my surgeon had 2 other surgeons ready to potentially help her with bowel because I told her, I am not going for a bag. I need my stomach working. Like, please don't do that to me. She ended up doing everything herself, but it was very good for me to know that if needed, 2 top NYU
So you had a
specialists are
backup.
going to be there. Exactly. So that is something that was very helpful. One more thing to ask is like, if your case is a little bit more complicated and you're not sure, it's like you can ask nicely. In other severe cases like mine, what did you see as outcomes immediately and what did you see as outcomes after 6 months? So you're kind of like carefully asking and very gently, did you have any cases as severe as mine? What was going on? Did you actually follow up with them for more than 6 months to see how it's going? Because this is a long-term healing surgery.
Right. Or did
and
you do
can
the
learn a
surgery
lot.
and say bye?
Exactly. And this is also not to say surgeons are not there to take care of us for the rest of our life.
Right.
Their job is, it's like a spring cleaning. We kind of like clean up everything, we freshen everything up. But then over time, we do need to manage this. And this is actually one of the biggest problems. Like, it's no one's job to help us manage our day-to-day life after the surgery. Not even before the surgery, not even to arrange the surgery. It's like no one's job. It's our full-time job that we're not paid for. We usually pay for it. And it's just, okay, no one is even tracking our quality of life. Sometimes if you go to pelvic floor therapy, if they have a good questionnaire, they're going to ask you about it. But you know how many people I saw who went for surgery after surgery after surgery and were not even offered pelvic floor therapy? For those who don't know, this is a crucial step after such an intervention that is so traumatic to the body. Before we even talk about the fact that living with such severe pain just causes the pelvic floor muscles to turn
Just really
into a rock. It's crazy. And then sometimes I see people like, oh, but I'm trying Kegels and it's not helping. No, you need the opposite. You need the opposite of that. That is going to be worse. So you really need to know where to go. No one is telling you that you need to go. No one is telling you what problems it's going to solve. I had to figure out for myself. I really thought for like about 2.5 years after my surgery, everything is back. It hurts so much. It hurts in the same places. It hurts in new places. This is terrible. I don't know what to do. I'm going to have another surgery. And then you see some people, in the support groups, and it's like, I'm having surgery number 10, and I don't know what's going to happen to me. And I'm like, is this my future? I don't know. And I went to this pelvic pain specialist that I'm very lucky. She's amazing. Someone referred me to her. And she was like, I actually think that most of it could be solved with pelvic floor therapy. Let me refer you to someone very good. And she has a lot of experience with endometriosis. And I was like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'll go and I'll prove you wrong.
You sound like me.
She proved me wrong. She was able to solve 100% of my problems, including what I felt like an adhesion that's just pulling tight on me every time I moved. It wasn't. It was a muscle. Wow. Even though it was very close to an adhesion that I still have, but now that the muscle is not this tight, it doesn't hurt as much. I can manage my life. I'm like, not doing that surgery again anytime soon.
So that's where doctors can, if you get the wrong doctor or the wrong specialist, they'll keep doing surgery after surgery instead of diagnosing it, like you just said, a little farther and figuring out it's just the muscle.
Yeah. And I would say even good ones sometimes don't realize how important it is. Because, they're surgeons. They're not strong on like the muscles and the long term and the day-to-day. They're there for the big intervention. Many of the surgeons that I know, like They have like one day in office for like before, after surgery, and that's pretty much it. They don't really see patients beyond like before, after for the scheduled visits. So it's like, it's really no one's job. No one is telling the people who you see more like, OBGYNs and GPs and the people who see you more regularly are still intervening on like specific touch points when things get really, really bad. That is one of the biggest lacking points. And that is actually why I joined Mapot. Very recently, this was something that I joined. I'm one of the admins in one of the largest support groups in America in English. It's not just America. We have people from the UK and Australia and Canada and everywhere. Whoever speaks English is welcome. Mostly patients, some family and friends, but mostly patients. And you see a lot how much this it's the same stories from all over the world, but also very different. Like it's very specific and custom. It's, oh, for me, this hurts and this is making it worse. And for me, oh, that's actually really good for me. So on bad days, I'm going to eat this. And I'm like, how?
So
but
it's not
so
a certain pattern.
Yes. So I was trying to figure it out. And finally, the tech is keeping up and getting to where we need it to be able to do its job. So I started to work on something that would literally help us with that day to day, this unpredictability, my pain could go from 0 to 100. I can't plan anything in my life. This is great. To something that is a lot more planned and less chaotic. And then randomly, I found my co-founder who was working on the same thing because she's also a patient and she's also data-driven. She was like, we need to make order in this chaos. So we joined forces and we now work together on Mapot. It is going to be available by the time this is coming live. And yes, I highly recommend if you are a patient or looking for a diagnosis, our goal is to, first of all, make order in this chaos. Take all of those gazillion symptoms that we have, put them in the context of what makes it worse. Stress, breathing, moving, drinking water, literally anything we do.
Yeah.
And giving the engines and the robots the ability to give us the pattern so we can be very specific. It's not just like, oh, we know you had a bad day last week. It's more like next Thursday.
Generalize. Yep.
Do not plan anything big because that looks like an odd day for you. Which is a huge power for me as a patient. Yeah.
Wow. So
and
that you can have control over your life at that point.
Exactly. That's our goal. First of all, give some control. Second, and very big for us, is to help shorten that amount of time. 11 years is a crazy amount of time to wait for a diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's a crazy amount of time when this disease is getting worse and worse with every cycle. So we're trying to help. One of our goals is to help you while you're tracking it, to prepare a report for your doctor in a way that they cannot ignore you because the data is going to be talking for us. It's very hard. Yes. It's very, very hard for us to quantify pain, to explain. You go in and say, it hurts so much. Where does it hurt? In all places. Okay. It is severe, but it's very hard for the person on the other side to help. And if we bring them something that's very visual, here is what happens over the month, and here's what we tracked, and here's the heartbeat and the blood pressure that we measured, and we see that this person was in severe pain. Proof. Exactly. I want to see a doctor ignoring this. I want to see a doctor looking at that and saying it's all in your head.
They won't be able to do that anymore.
I hope so.
Not with all that documentation, it's almost like you have to prove that you're hurting. And this tool that you guys have come up with is truly what's needed in this community. Yeah. Wow. What is your, life like now? What's your, I don't want to say outcome because you still live with it, correct? What is your daily, pain? Is it manageable now?
It's a very good question. I am very lucky that I got to some sort of a balance. I would have to say it's a real grief process. You have to grieve the person you were. I'm never going to be that person again. I think all of us kind of go through this when we grow old, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, when you get up from the
Yep.
couch,
Everything's hurting.
it's like, oh, I'm not that person now. My back
Yep.
hurts when I get
Yep.
up.
Or any chronic health condition for that
Yes.
matter. When you're diagnosed, you're not that same person before you walked in that doctor's office. So
Exactly. So for chronic patients, it just happens a little faster and earlier in life, but it's happening to all of us. So don't feel neglected. It's happening to all of us in the end. I think it's just really adjusting my life to a place where I can keep myself more balanced for longer. I had to switch jobs. I had to move away from a house that was not good for me because it was 2 floors, and it's very hard for me sometimes to go upstairs. I was a teacher. I could no longer do that at some point, and I moved to a job that I could do from home, and I'm very lucky and I love what I do, but it was a tough transition that cost me years of my life to just get a new career going. But I got to a point that my life today is convenient enough where even if I'm in a flare, I can probably still do some work. I know what helps me. I have a lot of tools that I created for myself, and I kind of like have my go-tos. But I also have days where I'm like, okay, I wish someone would give me a good idea because all the ideas that I have are not working.
it's like, oh,
And that is part of what we want to do.
You're going to save so much struggle. I will just say that with everything that you guys are working on and creating for the endometriosis community as a whole, just support and guidance. You're giving them so many exceptional tools.
Thank you. Yeah, we really hope so. We don't want to gate it just for the endometriosis community. Our goal is definitely to bring it to more individualized spaces where we recognize that it's just we happen to have both endometriosis, so we're like, okay, this is a good place to start.
So actually, it's anyone with pain, basically. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
So
that's even better. Okay.
For the future. It's just right now, it's very specific for endometriosis.
Endometriosis.
We are tracking the specific common symptoms that we see and the common triggers that we see and learn from research.
Wow. Huge. I'm excited. I'm like, okay, get started on the next now.
Thank you. Yes, we hope to do that. We are actively working on partnerships with care providers who are working in the space of caring for the patients and meeting them wherever they are, because I know we are actively looking for partnerships with caregivers that are working in this space and meeting our patients, because I know a lot of patients go to acupuncture. A lot of patients go to pelvic floor therapy. We're actively working to add pelvic floor therapists who know a thing or two about endometriosis and have experience in that to that map that we have already. So you can find the surgeons and the aftercare as well in there. But we're also looking for other partnerships with anyone who is working in this space, and we would love to talk to you.
Oh, I already can think of one lady in my head. So I will definitely recommend this to her because she is phenomenal here in Colorado. She's a pelvic floor therapist and also an endometriosis patient. So she is well knowledged, and yeah, I've shared her story a couple of times, and she'd be perfect.
That's amazing. I would love that. Thank you.
Yeah. How can a patient, are you guys on social media? How can they get in touch with you guys?
Yes. So we are on Mapot Health on Instagram, TikTok, I think Facebook too. We're also on mapot.com. So it's ma-pott.com. And the map for specialists and very soon pelvic floor therapists also is on theyellowhub.org.
Beautiful. And we are going to put links to all these for our listeners. Highly recommend this tool. And, I am excited to see where you guys go with this. Thank you again, Ruthie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And if this episode has touched you in a way that you feel really impacted you, please reach out to us on our website at chronictruthpodcast.com. Share your story. Also, when we release these videos, message in the comments. And until next week.